Okay, so welcome to the subject Introduction to Biomolecules, SSCG 1112. Okay, last week I talked about the how we are going to perform this class. Okay, and then some information about some introduction about the class, and some introduction about how you can learn at the university. Okay, so now we go to the chapter 1. So we have around 7 chapters. Okay, six chapters, and 4 chapters is for the biomolecules, and 2 chapters is for the introduction or basic or principle about the chemistry of water and also the biomolecules before we go into deep about each of the biomolecules. So we go to the chapter 1, which is fundamental of water. So this is under course learning outcome number 1. If you see here this table, okay, we have 4 course learning outcome. So if you read here, I see number 1, explain the structure and related components of water, chemical structure bonds and pH in the biological system. So before you can understand the biomolecules, each of the biomolecules, so you need to understand the chemistry of the water. Okay, so this is fall under PLO1 or knowledge. The taxonomy is C2 and level 2. It's just only for the understanding. And then the TNL is a teaching and learning methods. It's a lecture and also active learning. And it will be assessed based on the quiz, test, and also final exam. So if you ask me whether this chapter will it be included in the final exam or not, yes. Okay, yes. So you need to understand this in the first few weeks, just 1 week, week two here. So you will be assessed again during your final exam on week 16 or 17. Okay, the learning outcomes or key concepts of this class or the chapter 1 is that first, you will understand the chemistry of water. Okay, and then second, you can discuss the uniqueness of water, and you will understand the fundamental of hydrophilicity and hydrophobicity, hydrophilic or hydrophobic. And finally, you can understand the principle of pH. Okay. Okay, we go to the next. I will try to make this lecture. Okay, for actually it's for 2 hours lah, because we replace this class on Sunday. Okay, so there will be a QR code again at 11 p.m. 11 a.m. Okay, so and then I will try to come up with a 3 section for this class. Okay, first section is around half an hour, another is half an hour, and the section is half an hour. So that you have 3 videos, 3 different videos. Then we are going to have active learning after I give the lecture. Okay. So water on Earth, if you see here, this is our planet. Okay. It makes up about 71 of the Earth's surface, while the other 29% is land. Okay. So only 29% only, okay, is land, and the rest is water. So you can see here, and there is a lot of water in our planet. And in our body, okay, we have around 70% of 70% of water. No, in our body we have a 70% of water. So that's why actually water is very important. That's why you need to learn about the principle of the water before you understand the biomolecules. Because the biomolecules such as lipids, carbohydrate, protein, and also DNA, they are actually related to human, related to us. Not just only human, they are also related to all of the living things, and the plants, animals, okay, also the land, okay, and some of the reaction also occur because of the water, and water is everywhere in our earth. So that's why it's important to understand the basic principle of water. Okay, in order to understand the water, the chemistry of the water, we need to understand the structure of water itself. What makes water? Okay, because everything in our world here and is based on the elements, and you can see in the periodic table jadual berkala, you can see there are so many elements, single elements, and when we combine it together, we will come up with the what they call this, we come up with the plant, we come up with the water, we come up with the some of the organic compound, we come up with the protein, amino acid, and so on. So it's come from the elements. Okay, so water molecules ni is a combination of two elements. One is oxygen, okay, another one is hydrogen, and this water molecules is consists of two hydrogen molecules and two hydrogen atoms, not two hydrogen molecules. Remember, the water itself, H2O, is a molecule, but the elements is atom. So we have two atoms of hydrogen that combine with one atom of oxygen. Okay, so if you can see here, so we have a H attached to O, and this double dot here, there are a pair of dot here represent the unshared electron, electron that has not been shared, that is not shared with H. Okay. So these are the keywords when you want to understand the principle of water or H2O. Okay, oxygen, understand the oxygen. Where does the hydrogen come from? The covalent bonding. Okay, electronegativity, the V shape, polar or polarity, and also hydrogen bonding. Actually, most of these keywords you already knows during your secondary school or during your matriculation. Okay, whether you remember or not is up to the individuals. Okay, water is a polar molecule. Okay, polar tu berkutub, polar molecule. Why? Because one end is partially positive. Here, if you can see the hydrogen here is a partially, or sometimes we call it as a slightly positive. And the other is partially negative. Okay, slightly negative at this side, at the oxygen side here. Okay, at the covalent, at the oxygen side here is slightly negative. So there is a difference between the polarity, okay, the charge, not the polarity. The difference between the H and also oxygen. The difference between the charge, one is slightly positive and another one is slightly negative. So it will give the water molecule ni, the whole molecule ni is a polar, berkutub. Okay, so oxygen, why is a slightly negative? Okay, we call it, here you can see the term we use slightly or partially, not the full negative. Okay, the example of full negative is when we have a sodium chloride, NaCl. Na, when we put it in water, it will become Na plus or sodium plus, Na plus, and also Cl. Cl is chloride lah, chloride ion. So chloride ion is the full negative. Sodium Na plus tu is a full positive. But for the water molecule, it's just only slightly positive, and also, or sometimes we call it as a partially positive, and also slightly negative for the oxygen, or partially negative for the oxygen. Okay, so why this happen? And because oxygen atom is more electronegative than hydrogen atom. So electrons spend more time around oxygen here than at the hydrogen. So you can see here there are electrons here. So how many the number of electrons for the oxygen? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Oxygen is 8. Okay. And because of this, it will pull the what do you call this, the electrons at the oxygen. So the polarity though is water is polar because of uneven distribution of electrons between oxygen and hydrogen. Okay, there are actually different distribution of electrons. There is so many electrons here at the oxygen, but there is none electron here at the hydrogen. Okay, and it's also based on electronegativity. And you can see the periodic table here. These are the atoms or elements that have high electronegativity. Okay, you can see the red one, nitrogen, oxygen, and also fluorine. So those are the higher electronegativity atom with a high electronegativity, and hydrogen is more, 2.1 only. So these are the number of the electronegativity value. Okay, so N is 3.0, O 3.5, F is 4.0. So F is the highest one lah. Okay, so H2O ni is contain H 2.1 and combined with oxygen 3.5. So the difference in terms of the electronegativity is very significant. 3.5 and also 2.1. So that's why it will give a polarity lah. Okay. So again, what is electronegativity? It's a tendency of an atom to attract electrons to itself in a chemical bond, or is to become negative lah. Atoms of the same element share equally the electrons in a bond. Now, for example, like C single bond C, C single bond C, so it has a same element CC, or oxygen O and also O. It has a same element, so they have a equal electronegativity. And atoms from different element, okay, such as O and also H here, and it has a different electronegativity, and the electrons are not shared equally. Okay, if you can see here. And the difference in electronegativity between oxygen and hydrogen give rise to partial positive and partial negative. Okay, like I told you before, sometimes we call it as slightly or partial. And this is the symbol, delta plus. This is the symbol, delta negative. So we are not come up with a symbol positive. We put that delta positive. And partial negative also delta negative. Not the positive, also negative. Okay, like I told you before, it's like a sodium chloride. And A plus, we could put it plus. Cl minus, we put it minus. Not delta positive or delta negative. Okay. So this polarity results from unequal sharing of electrons in the bonds and the specific geometry of the molecule. Specific geometry also will contribute to the polarity. Okay, I will show you after this the example of the non-polar molecule. So in water and oxygen, this is the value of the electronegativity, 3.5. Is more electronegative than hydrogen, 2.1. So higher probability of electron bonding to oxygen. And this bond is called as polar bond. Okay, so you learn now that this water molecules is contain H and also oxygen. First thing is that this water molecule is a polar molecule, berkutub. Okay, and why is polar? It's because it has a unequal sharing of electron or uneven distribution of the electrons. There is so much electron at oxygen and little electron at the hydrogen. So they will cool at the oxygen. And oxygen and this the polarity also come from the delta negative and also delta positive. Okay, so this what makes a polar molecule. the water is a polar molecule. Okay, so this is example of the non-polar molecule. So how about the non-polar molecule? If the difference in electronegativity is small, for example, like a CH. CH ni you can see in the hydrocarbon lah. Okay, CH, sharing of electrons is nearly equal. So bond is non-polar. Okay, for example, like a methane here. CH in the methane. So here is the molecule of the methane. It contains C with 4H. Okay, so each of this molecule ni bonding ni, C and also H ni, the electronegativity is very small. Okay, carbon is 2.5, hydrogen is 2.1. Okay, so not much different, 2.5 and also 2.1. So this methane, or all of the hydrocarbon like methane, ethane, hexane, they are all non-polar. And a molecule may have polar bonds but still be non-polar due to its geometry. Ni CO. C carbon dioxide, for example. Okay. So in terms of the geometry, it is in linear. Okay. Linear. So it is non-polar. Both water and carbon dioxide, CO2, have polar covalent bonds. And because of the difference between C and O, this one is O and H. Okay. But the carbon dioxide molecule is linear. So the partial charge on the molecule cancel each out. Okay. D plus here is equal to D minus, D negative is equal to D positive, delta positive for carbon. Okay. So it's a non-polar. So these are non-polar molecule, methane and also carbon dioxide. Okay. So the polarity is based on the interaction between the atom and oxygen and also hydrogen. So that's actually inside the molecule. So there is one more thing is important for the water molecules is that there is an interaction among water molecules. We have one water molecule here. Okay, it consists of hydrogen and also oxygen, and it can have a hydrogen bonding with another water molecules. But hydrogen bonding occurs at the between the hydrogen and also oxygen, H and O. Or it's not H and H or O and O. It's between H and O. And the O and H inside the water molecules is considered as covalent bonding. Okay, so the covalent bonding ni, the energy of the covalent bonding is really high than the hydrogen bonding. Okay, so that's why it's hard to split to remove the covalent bonding as compared to the hydrogen bonding. Okay, so these are hydrogen bonding among water molecules. Okay, between the hydrogen and a more electronegative atom, H and also O. O and H is the covalent bonding. H and O is the hydrogen bonding. So these are water molecule and these are the water molecules. Okay. So that's actually the important of illustration. If you're talking about hydrogen bonding, okay, if you come up with a sentence, if you use the incorrect term, okay, you said that the water molecules, they have a hydrogen bonding with water molecule, but you are not specifying the bonding, which of the elements that will be responsible for the hydrogen bonding. So just only we can say that water molecule have hydrogen bonding with water molecule. Yes, it's correct, but it's not precise. Okay, but if you come up with illustration and you show that the hydrogens attract with oxygen, so it is more specific. We understand that the hydrogen that responsible for the hydrogen bonding with oxygen in another water molecule. Okay. Because of the hydrogen bonding, okay, we know that there are different states of water, okay, either in the form of gas, okay, solid, and also liquid. Okay, liquid come gas is evaporation. The term is evaporation. Okay, meluap. And then liquid turn to solids is freezing. Solid and will melt, will become a liquid. Okay, gas, condensation of gas will produce liquid, and deposition of gas will produce solid, and solid will undergo sublimation to gas to produce gas, okay, in the form of gas. Okay, so these are the water molecules in solid ice. So you can see there is a hydrogen bonding here, H bonding, okay, between the oxygen, hydrogen, and also oxygen. And water molecules in liquid water, there is also hydrogen bonding, but it's really weak. Okay, and water molecules in water vapor, so the molecules is far from other molecules. Okay. Okay, alright. Before we go to the section break, do you have any question want to ask? You can put it in the chat, or can I see some of the reaction? That's a good question um, from QH. I don't know who is QH, and you can see the chat there. So, so there is no hydrogen bonding when water is vapor. Yes. Yep. Hydrogen bonding among water. What do you call this? Hydrogen bonding among the water molecules. Okay. And there is a strong hydrogen bonding lah for the solid. That's why water molecules, water will evaporate at really high temperature, 0 to 100 degrees, 100 degrees Celsius. Okay. Some of the solvents, for example, acetone. Acetone can evaporate at like 50 degrees Celsius. Okay, because it has the what do you call this? It has a lack of hydrogen bonding among the acetone molecules. Okay, so thank you for asking. So you see the importance of the hydrogen bonding of water. Okay, unlike other what do you call this solvent. Okay, so we'll go to the active learning. Actually, I want to come up with the what do you call the pair. Okay, so I want you to do this, okay, individually. Okay, find out this topic. What is the topic? The uniqueness of water. So we know that water makes up 71% of overall Earth, and then it makes up 70% of our human body. So water is unique. Unique ni compared to others, compared to solvent, and because of the physical chemical properties of the water. Okay, so just give one only and the uniqueness of water, each one of you individually, and then share it in a P group. Please don't do it now. Okay, don't do it. You need to do it after class, and then I will put this video in the Facebook group, and then you can put this in the form of picture. Okay, I give you example lah. I give you example. Ni example. Okay, you come up with the PowerPoint. Okay, or you come up with the what do you call this? You can draw, and you can draw using your tab ke, and or this one I'm using PowerPoint, and change this PowerPoint to the JPEG, to the picture, and then after that upload in the Facebook group tu, comment in the Facebook group. But please do not what do you call this? Please do not do it now. Okay. You need to do it after this lah. So this is example uniqueness of water. So we know that this is water slider, and you put a picture and you put some of the explanation. Okay. You can Google it. If you have a similar similar point, it's okay. And because we have 57 students here. But if you come up with the very unique of the uniqueness of water and different from others, so that's actually very good. So that's why I said here, sharing is caring. So you share what you have done. Just Google it. Okay, just take only one only, and come up with the picture and put some explanation, and then save it in picture and put it in the what do you call this? Put it in the Facebook group. Okay, can you do that?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay, right, that's good.